Welcome back, everybody. It's morning, my coffee, and I'm sitting in between two of the rally projects, or two of the Audi projects, the rally car and the Sport. What it is that seeing I have them here, I need to get the panel bonding done. And what it is that I'm kind of time critical on it, so I want to get them done both at the same time. First thing, it's because of the weather. I need to have really hot days and nights in order for them to cure properly. So I'm under the gun up here in New Hampshire. We only have, a certain amount of time where it's going to happen. Second thing, when you start buying that panel bond, I'm buying the 3M stuff. That stuff is expensive. So you want to just continue and go and go and go and go, and you just want to, and just use it up. So you do very, very, very little waste. That's the big thing. I don't want any waste. So when I I'm not going to redo these things, but I'm going to clean them up pretty much to make everything fit as exact so I can use the least amount of panel bond. And when the panels are all set to the chassis, the least amount of filler. I'm still going to use angel hair, fiberglass, base, and then I use Bondo and spot putty and stuff like that. Yeah, but I want to use very little. That's my big thing because I hate sanding. It's just like grinding and sanding. What a miserable existence, But hey, listen, I'm still learning with all this. And one thing I did learn is that when I did the suspension, all the pickup points on the Sport for the first time, when I came to the rally car and redid it, I had a revelation where I did it so much better on the rally car. I came back and redid it on the Sport. And I was going to do it a certain way, but I just cut the stuff out and I just started doing it just like I did on the rally car. Same thing is going to be for doing the panel bond. When I have them both back there, if I have one all set up, ready to go, when I go to get the other one ready, set up, ready to go, if I do something better like on this one, I can go back and redo it on this before I start all the panel bond. Because once you panel bond, you're done. You got to chop the fender, you got to chop the fiberglass out in order to get them off. So we only want to do it in one shot. So if I do them both, both sections, both rear sections, then I do both front sections. Then the rockers on the rally car is going to be the worst. I'll show you that in a bit, but not as bad on the Sport because of the transitions. But on the rally car, the transition is just terrible. So it's going to have to be completely redone or reformed. But I'll show you that when we get to that point. First things first, I'm going to take you back. I'll show you some of my mistakes that I did because you have to remember it's all prototyping. When I built these, the frames for the fenders, I didn't know what I was doing. It's not like every day I cut up like 3 cars and shorten it for Sport and cut up 2 cars and try and make a Rally Quattro. I know I should be doing it. I should have been doing it all along, but you know what? Sue me. I'm just a hillbilly. I did a lot of hillbilly stuff, but not that. But this is, I'm learning a lot, and hopefully you will too. But first things first, let's go back. Let me show you back here and what I'm intending to do, and then I'll do a little bit of explaining of the inconsistency in what I did and what the quarters are or the fiberglass is. And it's not because of anybody's fault, it's just because of the way it is, All right, let me bring you back here and let me show you what I'm trying to tell you. All right, let's go back here and let's get this stuff done. We're at the back of the Sport Quattro on the left side. This is probably the most egregious side, as in my horrible welds up here that I didn't clean up enough, and for the varying thickness and consistency of this panel. The exterior part's fine. It's the interior part, because you have to remember when they're laying, they probably hand laid this up. I don't think they used a chopper gun, even if they did use a chopper gun, which is a gun that sprays it looks like fiberglass matting, or chopped up strands into the mold that creates the actual panel. And what it is that you do get inconsistencies, especially if you don't vacuum bag it to try and make everything consistent. But that's beside the point. Let me show you what you're probably going to run into with any panel that's been hand laid up, and even vacuum bag, you'll have still inconsistencies because it's really hard to figure out exactly how much everything is going to be, or inconsistencies throughout the entire panel. It's just part of the nature. But let me bring you over here. I got a yank ruler right here, a machinist ruler, and I'm going to use this as a plate to put underneath here to show you how deep it is. Here is pretty much the thinnest portion of this panel right there. It's as in, that looks like the thinnest portion. I'm going to take my feeler gauge and I go right there to give us a good measurement. And if you put this right here, the bottom section of this ruler is in 30/2 of an inch. So this is 3/32 of an inch in width right there, as close as I can see. Let's go down to the bottom. Here we are. This looks right here to be the thickest portion of the actual panel. If you take a look there, I'm going to put this right here. And if you see these holes right here, they each indicate a 30/2 of an inch. And if you put this right down there, it looks like it's about 5 to 6 30/2 of an inch. So you're looking at 2 30/2 to 3 30/2 of an inch, which is double the width from the top to the bottom in consistency. Because you can see it gets thicker here, thinner, thicker, thinner. And this is what you're going to run into. Now take a look at my welds. Here is my inconsistent weld. I think this is when my welder was failing a couple of years ago when I did it. But the whole thing is we have to fix it, you know, and this is to show you, you know, I have inconsistencies in the fiberglass as I just showed you, but I also have inconsistencies in my welding and in my cleanup, because you can see I did not clean up everything, and this thing can go down a lot. And this fender or this quarter is bowing upwards, so I need to stop that. So I got to mark this, make sure it all goes down, re-weld what I need to re-weld, grind it back down to make sure everything fits flush, so there's the least amount of filler involved inside this. You know, even over here, if you know, I have a missing cleco there, but if you sit there and you look at this, it's absolutely, if I push it in just a little bit where the cleco would be, it actually fits beautiful right there. So it's pretty consistent. There is some high spots over here that I'm going to have to take down on the back with a file, but it's actually pretty consistent up here, which is a good thing. Let me get my stuff on so I can get the grinder out and I can cut all, or start grinding all this stuff and getting this section done first and moving all the way back. Let me show you what I did down here to make this equal. I think I got it straight to where everything is pretty good. So let me bring you down here and let me show you what I did. This is what I had to do. I had to put numerous clecos inside here because of the varying thickness of the fiberglass. A relief cut here, a relief cut here with a slice there, a relief cut here with a slice there. This is so everything started to conform, because this right here, or I didn't relief cut, was fine. Everything else was bigger. So that's why the relief cuts, I did that. Now I got to tack everything in to make it stationary. But as you take a look at this, it's really good. You know, it's right on the money, you know, and everything is going to just work out really, really well. I know it'd be a minimum amount of filler, but I got to first tack this in really slow. One tack, let it cool down. Another tack, let it cool down. And this is going to take me a little while, so let me go get my stuff on so I can do this, and then we can continue on. I even got above this right here, up here, all flat also. So this is all set. I'm really good, really like that. So the way it's working out. Let me go get my welder, start this on so we can continue with final finishing of the quarters. Looks like it's all going to work. I welded everything inside and I ground everything down, pretty much. Let's just continue on with doing the top of the quarters to fit it absolutely flush to make sure. I think there's a couple high spots over here that I got to cut and slice in, and then do the rear. Then continue on the other side, do that side, and continue with all of them. I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's very little filler is going to be needed, you know, and I'm pretty happy about that. All right, let me just continue on with the quarter and let's get this thing done. What I'm doing now, using the square, this is the body line. The body line has to come straight down and match into the quarter, or match, you know, match this portion and this portion in its angle, and then it will flare out. What I'm trying to do now is use this flat piece to go down there. See, this right here is easily sliding, so it's equal. Like over here, it catches just a little bit. It catches just a little bit from here all the way down to here. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull the quarter off, take a look at what the welds are, and see if I can grind down more of the actual welds in the back to get me more room. If not, I might take a little bit off the quarter. I'm not sure until I pull it off. But first things first, let's pull the quarter off and let's make a decision on how I'm going to do it. I think right here, I have to run the wheel down here anyway, just to make it equal. And then I will pull, actually, I'll do the wheel first, then I'll pull all the clecos back off, pull the thing out, and see if I can grind some of the welds down and make it work, you know, without having to touch the quarter. But if I have to grind a little bit of the quarter, I have to grind a little bit of the quarter. Yeah, just the way it is. All right, let's pull this back off. All right, I'm gonna have to cut that. You're probably saying why? Well, throughout the entire thing, you're looking at probably almost double the thickness from this point to this point. And I measured it, and just using my handy dandy micrometer, I'm just gonna measure this is right up here is like pretty much one of the, you know, the thinnest parts. And we have pretty much, well, about 2 millimeters, maybe 2.5 millimeters of thickness up here. We go down and I look at one, because it's all wavy on the inside. And I'll look at the biggest section down there and I'll do that. And I say, okay, what I got? Well, it's almost at 5 millimeters. There's too much of a distance to basically sand off. And I'd much rather keep the strength of the quarter anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cutter, go right up inside here and see if I can undo the welds, push it down another couple of millimeters, because it goes thin to fat back here. So it pretty much starts right here. This stuff is pretty good, but for right here, all the way over, I'm gonna try and, you know, cut this out, bring it down, re-weld it, grind the metal, and keep on going. But this is one thing you're gonna be running into with any type of fiberglass, any type of fender. The insides will be a little bit different just because of the laying up process, unless you get, you know, super high-end stuff, you know, and where it's all uniform and where they carefully, you know, put all the fiberglass and vacuum bag it and make sure there's no high areas. And, you know, that's really, really good stuff. But, of course, don't do that. I'm a hillbilly. I got junk. So, all right, gotta grab the grinder and just do it up. Yeah, I just have to make it work. The frame is done for this quarter. You're probably wondering why I didn't do the internal part or trim up the internal part of the wheel wells on the inside and weld them. Conserving argon. That's what I'm doing. Conserving wiring argon right now. The main thing is I gotta get these things fit right. As you can see, I made a step here for the transition here. This is a little bit off this way, but this was damaged before I got the car and all rusty. I fixed this and I measured it. The other side is definitely shorter, so I'm just going to build up probably with fiberglass inside here to make it straight and lead off of this line, not lead off of that line like it is over there. But everything fits nice. It's all flush. That's all flush. I'm really, I kind of really like all this, the way it's working out. I mean, I think it looks pretty good. As you can see, I welded a diagonal line here. Why'd I do that? Too lazy to cut it. So that's just basically it. Plus, this is all rusty anyway, so I wanted to get up there and I dressed it. It's all looking really, really good. Now this step, the transition step, I really like. And let's go do the other side. I think the hardest thing is going to be the gas door over there, but let's see if we can make that work. All right, here it is. As you can see by my somber tone, I finished this up and I'm looking at something else I'm going to show you. First thing is we have the quarter fitted to the C pillar and the B pillar pretty much. It's all set on where we can panel bond it. It's all flush. We'll have tons of really good contact all the way around. Same thing with the gas door. Let me show you this. It has good contact all the way around. It lines up. This line right here lines up with this line right here. Let me bring you over. See where this line goes? And you see it curves up. Well, it curves up into where this line will be because this line goes straight down to here, and this is where the line is. This is what I wanted to do. Same thing over here. This line comes up and makes, even though it's chipped, it made a slight corner up here and it'll intersect this line. So we have this all set to be panel bonded. I used 3 Clecos to make sure to see how it's going to sit. And I used all these Clecos here to make sure it sits correctly. So when I panel bond all this, I know where it's going to be. Let's go over to the B pillar. Here at the B pillar, I got it pretty much completely flat. I've had to do it a couple times. I had to make some slice cuts here. The reason is, you remember, this side was completely stove in about 6 inches. This was all pounded in. And what I did off camera, well, I forgot to run the film or the video, but I thought I was running, but it wasn't. What it is I, you know, undid this seam, basically pounded out everything on this door frame right here, and on this, tried to, you know, make it as smooth as possible. Used the porta power, which is that. Went in the cabin and pushed this all out and pounded it all out. This is as far as I could get it because it was not going any further. That's how I got the door to close. All the lines are straight and they're intersecting every single one. Yes, I'm going to have to use filler over here, but the actual lines of the rear quarters and the door are all straight. The big problem I'm running into now is the rocker, and I should have thought this because of the front fender, but I got led down a path. Larry, let me show you. Here's the rocker. This section right here was basically, how can I put this, was already cut. And I thought it went into this line right here. And I'm sitting there going, oh great, it gave me a spot to actually push it in. So what I did is I don't want to push it in because I have it all out for a reason. But I pushed it in and I got it all trimmed out and I got everything set to where it said, okay, everything should coincide with this. But after putting this fender on and trying to, you know, I made this as straight as possible. And with the door, this sits out further. So I brought this out, but let me show you something here. Take a look at this rocker. I don't know if you can see it, but on this side, it's bent all the way in, all the way down here. It's curved really, really bad. And what I'm going to have to do with this is the same thing I did with the fender. I'm going to have to cut this or grind it out so I can bring this up so this rocker will fold out to join with this quarter. The big thing is I got to build a plate right here, which is not a problem, which is easy. I'm just going to have to cut right down here, grind this, and build a plate inside here as a receiver. Then I got to take this portion off and then take it off so I can actually, I'm going to probably put in a different plate that's longer that gives me more support and weld it to the external portion of this. The reason is that I'll grind down the portion like that, but I have plenty of material out here in order for me to actually support the rocker with someone stepping on it and not breaking. That's the big thing. So this is probably gonna be last, but the first thing I got to do is grind out all this right here so this thing can fold to the point where it'll match this rocker. I should have suspected it after I did the fenders, but you know, this is what you get. Beggars can't be choosers. You know, this is the definition of a cheap body kit. You know, but I might even have to do this one down here. And the reason I might not be doing the panel bonding in this video for the rally car, I might do that separately because I got to cut this plate off. So after I grind this and I set everything, I can go in there with fiberglass like I did with the other fender and build up material so it won't break. That's my big thing. All right, let me get my mask on and all the stuff on, and I'll grind this out, and hopefully I won't break it. But it's, I mean, you can even see places right here where they didn't, where there was air bubbles anyway. But it's, you know, that's what happens when you make them wet, and pull them out wet. Whatever. I just thought I'd let you know this is the pitfalls and of doing it with a cheap kit or stuff like this. This is what happens. But you know what? It's just going to take a little time to make it fit right. And I want to make it fit right. That's my big thing. Let me get my stuff back on. Start grinding this stuff out. And I gotta cut this out. I mean, maybe I'll cut this out first because it's easier. Yeah, this is just horrible stuff to do. But all right, and also if you didn't notice inside here, I took this out as a support because I needed to get the porta power in there to push all this stuff out. And this is as far out as it would go. And you can tell there's breaks in the paint here and here. That's where it was pushed all in. And I got it out a little, you know, okay before, but I pushed out to the point where it's acceptable to where it is, and I can just build up maybe a 1/4 inch of filler that'll match everything, because the more and more I pushed on this, I actually broke some metal down here and broke some metal down here, and it won't go any further. That's the reason why I'm going to be using that much filler. All right, let me get my stuff on, cut this out, hog those out. I got to flip this thing around, cut this off, and we will start to work on the rockers and getting everything blended together. And then I think a good possibility I'm going to panel bond it, you know, right then and there, because I'm out of Clecos. So if you guys are going to do 2 cars, get 100 Clecos. If you're going to do 1 car, get 50. There's my tip. All right, let me just get my stuff on and we'll just do it up. I put spreader blocks in here. I cut them all up. I did 6 of them. And what it is I can't get in behind there to fiberglass it. So I'm going to use the blocks. I'm going to fiberglass it, then stick it on. I got to still have a plate that comes out here that supports this onto this section right here. That's not a problem. My main goal is, I got the line right there, got the line right there and there. It's as close as I think I can get it. This comes out probably about 6-7 millimeters, but take a look down here. I have it the same distance down here, 6 to 7 millimeters. So it's equal all the way down the door. I can bring this fender out just a little bit, we'll be fine. The main thing is making it look equal. I don't, you know, that's the whole thing, is as long as it's equal, I don't care. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to use the blocks over on the other one, slip it in, see if it's the same thing, and then I'm going to fiberglass both of them and sit overnight, pretty much, just so it'll stiffen up. That's all I can do. And you know, if I can move it around a little bit, I will. But that's the main goal right now, is to get this thing stationary so I can put another plate inside there. I might reuse that. I'm not really sure. But if I can do that and get this stuff all squared away and welded where I can panel bond it, I think I'm going to panel bond it. That way I can take all the Clecos out and use them on the other car. But the main thing is, if I can get this all panel bonded in, all right. I mean, I still have to do the insides, weld the insides of the tubs and stuff like that. But I think that looks pretty good all the way down. The lines match up. The lines will match up here. If I pull this out just a little bit, it'll match up down here. I have a good feeling about it. I just have to now install or lay some fiberglass matting in there just to make sure it's not going anywhere. That's a big thing, because you can see I burned through right here, burned through right here. And I did the same thing on the other one. I did the same thing on the fenders. Just what it is. You have to remember, I'm no body guy, but this is, I just wanted to look relatively good, you know? And so, and yeah, I mean, just micromanage a little bit right here, but I like where the line's ending up. And after I fiberglass it, that way I'll build the plate that goes in here, and then I'll do the other side, clean up all the internal portions of the wheel wells, and then it should be, you know, clean it up with a flap wheel too, and should be ready to panel bond. Scary. come on down here. I want to show you a problem that I'm running into the transition. I'm going to show you what's happening with the body kit, but at least it'll give you a heads up of what to expect. Here we have the rocker set up. It's pretty close. You know, ever since doing the fiberglass, I kind of ran out of battery last night. But what happens is when you have the fiberglass cut, or I hogged out the bottom part, I peeled it open and I hear it snap. So it basically broke, and that's when I layered in the fiberglass and everything and put the spacers in there. Now what it is, I have the rocker sitting here. It's actually looking pretty decent, even though I have to clean it up. But what problem am I running into now? See this? Here's the quarter, here's the rocker, and here's the line that we have. And here's the line right here. It's missing it by roughly about 10, 11 millimeters, right about here, 7/16 of an inch. We have to move this line over to here, so I'm going to use a filler. So you're probably saying, why don't I move this line in to mate up? Well, we have a problem with down here, because right here and right here are two different things. You're probably saying, why is it two different things? This right here is a depth gauge. Use it for doing cylinders and all this other stuff. So if we put it on the very end, right here, hear that? That's about 2 millimeters of depth. So this is concave. Now if we bring this thing back, make it flat, like that, put it on there, put it right in the middle where the concave is, you can move it back and forth. So this is convex. The big problem is you're matching a concave surface to a convex surface. So what am I doing? I'm doing the hillbilly method of splitting the difference and trying to keep this line right here very straight. And this line is good because it'll kind of intersect right over here, because this thing goes down. So I can bring this line over here and with some filler, clean it up and bring it and have it transition into this line. Also, I need to redo the mounting portion for the top portion where the sill to the rocker is. So let me show you what I got, because I'm recycling some more stuff, go figure, and we can get this thing all squared away so I can get that set up, the bottom set up, and all locked in, so we can build a plate underneath here, and then the perimeters are all set to be panel bonded. Then I can go back in, clean up the wheel wells, and put that plate back in, the crash plate, and panel bond this thing. I'm excited. So, let me show you what I got to do the sill plate. This is what I'm going to use for the sill extensions, to basically lock onto the rockers. What is it? Well, if you guys are running a little tight on money, and if you ever need to get some, like, not thin angle iron, but workable. This is thin enough where it's easily workable, and it's going to be easily cut. But what this is for use for transporting like snow machines or four-wheelers or motorcycles, whatever. They use basically steel pallets. And generally you go out into the back of like, power sports dealers or whatever they call them, and ask them, hey, do you have any pallets I can pick up for my race car? And usually they'll say, yeah, here you go. And this is what I'm going to cut up, and I just want to let you know, hey, it might be a good place for you to get some metal to weld into your Sport Quattro project. And also for your Sport Quattro project, you're probably wondering what was the size of the spacers I used for the rockers. Remember, it's going to be different on every single car. I mean, because every single car you have to match it up to what you have. But what I have is what I did was my spacers were, it looks like 2 3/4 or about 70 millimeters wide. And that's what I used. So that's kind of what I did to make mine work. It might give you let's just say, it'll give you a ballpark estimate. Then you can make your spacers if you need to expand your rockers. It'll give you an idea of what to do. Now, what am I using what is this angle? Well, it's actually pretty thin stuff. It's about, looks like about 1.5 millimeters, maybe possibly 2 millimeters thick, I forgot what that relates to. But the main thing is, it's width. And I wanted 2 inches, but what am I ending up with? I'm ending up with 1 5/8. So I'm 3/8 of an inch off the 2 inches, which is ideal, but should be good. Now let me cut this thing up. Then we're gonna match it up over onto the rockers, onto the sill, and then trim it, clean it, weld it in, so we can get this thing panel bonded. Let me get my gear on so I can cut this up. This side of the rocker, the upper part, not the bottom, is done. What I was doing, I was welding 1, 2, 3, and going back and forth, letting everything cool down, back and forth, letting everything cool down. I don't want the rocker to get hot, but I need to keep it stationary on this plate where the panel bond is going to be, so we can see how it's going to work. Also, I use smaller screws inside here to make sure it's clamped down. I use, well, I'm going to be using 3/16 pop rivets, and this is probably an 1/8 maybe of drill bit and small screws. So I didn't want to use 3/16 screws to go inside there, because when you put the screw in there, it could wallow it out, and the pop rivet won't work and won't clamp. So that's why I use the smaller screws, but they are smaller screws. I have everything set. This is all set really, really well, and it's completely seam welded all the way here, all the way down except for right here and right there, because I got to build a plate on the inside, but I want to do the bottom plate first. But I have to go over and do this side next, and then I'm just going to do a quick compilation, and then we're going to flip the car over and start doing the bottom attachment points. So when I put the panel bond on, the attachment points will be exact and nothing will move. All right, let me go over and start doing that. It's going to be quick for you, not for me. All right. This is a lot of fun. It's all done. Like I did before, you know, 1/2 inch at a time, all the way back and forth, back and forth. Make sure not to get this over too much heat into the rocker, the fiberglass. But next thing is I got to flip this thing over, do the bottom mounts so we can secure them, so we can get an exact position of our rocker, so it's not going to move. After we get that done, I'm going to build the plate that's inside here to connect these two. Remember, I cut this 1/4 too short. Yeah, it is what it is. But all the lines are pretty much lined right up, especially when I go like this, you know, bring it out just a little bit like that, it'll line right up like I did on the other side, and the width from the door is pretty much exact from one side to the other, so it looks equal. Let me pull the tools out of here, flip this thing over so we can get the bottom ones done, so we can build these side panels to connect everything.